Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome back, class 8th, once again to your online classes. Alhamdulillah, I am back with you all for taking your biology and chemistry online classes. I hope all of you are well and safe at home. Please keep on taking the safety whatever precautions that are needed to be taken for protecting yourself from COVID-19. So let's proceed on with the revision of lesson number 1 in biology, that is the transportation in plants, the transport of water, minerals and food in plants. We all know that like the animals, plants are not able to make their own food. They prepare it with the help of a process which is known as photosynthesis, and for this they use what? They use carbon dioxide and water to make their food. So what happens is that carbon dioxide enters through the stomata, and that is the pores which are present on the surface of the leaves, and this oxygen is given out, and besides this, whatever food and material minerals that are absorbed are through the roots of the plant from the soil, and whatever food that has been prepared by the leaves and by whatever water and minerals that have been absorbed by the root are needed to be transported to all the parts of this plant, so that the plant is alive. Is that clear? It remains alive and remains healthy. So this process is known as transportation, that is the transport of this food and water and minerals in the plants with the help of the vascular tissues, that is the xylem and phloem, that is the conducting tissue of the plant, that is xylem and phloem. So this transport of water and minerals is absorbed, whatever water and minerals are absorbed by the roots up to the leaves, and whatever food that has been prepared by the leaves to the other parts of the plant takes place to the conducting tissue of the plants, which is known as the vascular tissue or the vascular bundles, which are known as the collectively they are known as the vascular tissues or vascular bundles, and this comprises of two parts, that is the phloem and the xylem. So these vascular tissues, they extend from the root tips, from the roots to the whole length of the plant, to the shoot tip. Is that clear? That is the cells of the xylem and phloem, they form long tube, as you can see over here, they form long tubes, you can see in this picture. Is that clear? And this helps in the transportation of food, water and minerals to all the parts of the plant. So the conducting tissue of the plants include the xylem and phloem. So what is the xylem? It is a complex conducting tissue. Is that clear? And it is made up of 4 elements, that is the xylem vessels, xylem parenchyma, xylem fibers and xylem tracheids. Out of the 4, that is only xylem parenchyma is living, all the other 3, that is the xylem fibers, xylem tracheids and xylem vessels, they are dead. Is that clear? Basically aiding in the structural support to the plant and protecting the plant. Is that clear? So these vessels, they are long tube like structures, as you can see in the diagram, they are long tube like structures, and they are formed by a row of cells which are placed end to end. That is, if suppose this is one vessel, the other vessel will be placed above it, that is the end of one is in contact with the end of the other, as you can see over here. Is that clear? So the end walls, they dissolve, they form a continuous passage or continuous hollow tube, that is there is no like nothing is in between, they form a continuous passage, they open at both ends. So what do? They transport water and minerals laterally and vertically. Laterally means sideways, laterally means sides in the branches like this, and vertically means upwards and downwards. Is that clear? So this is what happens. And tracheids, they are long and narrow cells that taper at both ends. They taper at both ends, you can see that is something which is tapering, means it will become thinner and meet at one end. This is taper, as you move towards the end, they decrease, that is they join together, they decrease. Tapering means they will be decreasing in size, they will decreasing, the time will come, then they will meet, and they help in the upward conduction of water and provide mechanical support. Is that clear? They provide mechanical support. Similarly, with the xylem fibers also, they are long and narrow, sclerenchymatous tissue, and they taper at both ends, and they provide mechanical support also. Then xylem parenchyma, they are the living part of the xylem, and they have thin wall cells. They store food, help in the conduction of water and minerals. Is that clear? So they are responsible for storing food, that is providing health to the, or keeping the xylem tissue healthy, and apart from that, it is, what is it doing for the rest of the plant? That is, it is helping in the conduction of water and minerals. So it carries, if you sum up the functions, they carry water and minerals upwards from the roots to the leaves through branches and vessels, through tracheids and vessels, not branches and vessels. Is that clear? It gives mechanical support to plants, and xylem parenchyma stores food. Is that clear? Coming to the next conducting tissue, which is phloem. Now phloem is what it is, it is another type, or the second type of complex conducting tissue, and it is also made up of 4 types of cells, that is sieve tubes, companion cells, then the phloem parenchyma and phloem fibers. Here also the phloem parenchyma is living, and rest of the 3 elements are non-living. These are sieve tubes, are tube-like structures, and they are made up of elongated and thin wall cells which are joined end to end. Is that clear? The only difference is that there is a sieve plate and plate that is there in between, which is perforated. Here the wall doesn't dissolve, but instead there are plates, is that clear, which are known as the sieve plates, and these plates are perforated. That means they have holes in between, so that if suppose this is one sieve tube, you can see over here, that is, if this is one sieve tube, then this particular plate that will be here, if I draw it separately, it will be perforated, that means having pores, and this will be in contact with the second one, and so on. There a whole continuous tube is formed just because of these perforations or these pores which are present in the sieve plates. There is a continuous passage of the food. So it's just clear, they are called sieve plates and they conduct food. Is that clear? Next is the companion cells. As the name implies, they help in the conduction of food, and they are placed adjacent to the sieve tubes, that is next to the sieve tubes, and they are connected to them by pores. They are also connected by pores. That is why as they are placed adjacent to the sieve tubes, then they will be having something which will help in the continuous conduction, helping in the process of conduction of food materials. Then the phloem parenchyma, they store food, and this is the function of the phloem parenchyma. So phloem fiber, what is the function? They give mechanical support to the plants, strength to the plants. Is that clear? That is, keep them mechanically strong. Next, if you sum up the functions of the phloem, so phloem does what? It transports food prepared by the leaves to other parts of the plant, and this food moves in both the direction, that is, moves upwards and downwards also. That means it is not possible that the leaves are present on the stem, they just transport it upwards. Then how will the rest of the plant, rest of the parts of the plant get the food? It is through this phloem only, that is transporting the plants or conducting the food upwards and downwards in the phloem. So the sieve tubes conduct food along with companion cells, and the plasma beg your pardon, the phloem fibers give mechanical strength to the plant. and it also, that is the phloem parenchyma, like the xylem parenchyma, stores food. Is that clear? Next is the importance of water and minerals in plants. What is the importance of this? Why do the plant need water and minerals? So we all know that it transports substances in the solution form from one part to the another. Whatever food that has been prepared by the leaves, or whatever minerals that have been absorbed by the roots, need to be transported in the form of solution. They will be conducted in the form of solution, not in the form of the ion themselves. They will be mixed up with the water, and then only they will be conducted. Is that clear? And it is used for making food, or the process of photosynthesis. We all know that water is one of the raw materials along with carbon dioxide for the process of photosynthesis. Then the excess water that evaporates from the surface of leaves by the process of transpiration. And what is the importance of this transpiration? It gives a cooling effect to the plant. And apart from this, whatever, there is no motor that will do what? That will conduct the water and minerals upwards, or the food that has been prepared by the leaves to the other parts of the plant. It is the suction pull, that is whatever water that will be lost, then that will create a pull, that is some force which will be exerted by the tissues, and it will by the cells of the plant, and it will pull the water upwards. Is that clear? That is the suction pull, and that is called the ascent of sap. Ascent of sap, that is the upward transport of water and minerals from the root to the other parts of the plants. Is that clear? Which we will study in detail, which I have already explained to you in my earlier lectures. Then what is the importance of these minerals? Now minerals are also necessary, like we need calcium every now and then. We say we have become weak, we should have your mothers, in fact, I as a mother keep on telling my son, but your mothers must be every now and then telling that you'll suffer from various deficiencies if you don't have fruits and vegetables, or you don't consume milk and milk products and many other things. Similarly, the plants also need minerals for proper growth and development. And where are the plants getting these minerals? They are getting it from the soil. So on the basis of the quantity, that is the amount that they will be needed by the plant, they are divided into two, that is the micronutrients and the macronutrients. Is that clear? Macro means in comparatively larger amounts, whereas the micronutrient, that is the nutrients that are required in smaller amounts. Is that clear? So we have a table on page number that is table 1.1 on page number 10, that is has shown you the plant nutrients, the roles and related deficiency symptoms, which I have already explained earlier. Then moving on to the transport of water and minerals, that is how the absorption of water and minerals takes place by the root hair. What is the process that is involved, and what are the various features of the plant that help in this process? Then we all know that the plants absorb water and minerals through the root, and what is present in the root that help in this absorption, that give a larger surface, that provide a larger surface area to the roots, and helping in the process of effective absorption of water and minerals. So these are the fine outgrowths from the roots, that is the epidermal cells of the root. That is, the epidermal cell means the cells which come out from the epidermis, the outermost layer of the root. Is that clear? So they are the elongation of projections of these epidermal cell, and these have two, they are also two layered, that is outer cell wall and an inner plasma membrane or cell membrane, sorry. So this cell wall is freely permeable, that is, it allows all the substances to pass through it, while the cell membrane is semi permeable, that is just allowing a few substances, that is water molecules, to pass through, but not the other larger molecules. and the water molecule enter the cytoplasm through the cell membranes. So what are the features in the root hair? First of all, they have a large surface area that allows more absorption of water, and there are numerous tiny pores which are present all over the membrane of root hair, and the water enters through these pores. Then the cell sap of root hair, that is the liquid part of the root hair, that is the water mixed with the minerals, that is called the cell sap. That is, the root of the root hair is more concentrated, that is, it contains more solute than the surrounding soil water. So the cell wall of root hair is freely permeable and the cell membrane is semi permeable, this I have told you. So the movement of water molecules takes place through three processes, that is the diffusion, osmosis and active transport. So what is this diffusion? It is the movement of molecules, whether it be solid, liquid or gas, from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration, and until an equilibrium is reached, that is both the sides become equal. And then water enters the root cell through the cell wall or diffusion, through the cell wall by the process of diffusion. Is that clear? So the process, this process, that is movement from a higher concentration area to a lower concentration area, it does not involve any energy. Is that clear? Next process is osmosis. Now this osmosis is a movement of water molecules from the region of high concentration to a region of low water concentration, and this takes place through a semi-permeable membrane. The requirement is a semi-permeable membrane, while diffusion does not require any membrane, semi-permeable membrane. It is the movement through the cell wall that is freely permeable. So this is how the movement of the minerals molecules take place, that is, water enters the root, from the root through osmosis. So sorry, not the minerals but the water, it enters the root through the first is, that is the water enters the root cell through the cell wall by diffusion. Then, as we know that the concentration of water in the soil is higher as compared to root cell, that is, the number of molecules of water are more in the soil as compared to the root cells. So the movement will be from the soil towards the root. So the concentration of water and minerals is same in all the root cells. So when water enters the root hair, the concentration increases as compared to the adjacent cortex cells. You can see this diagram in your book. So the movement is from the root hair into the epidermis and into the root cells, and in the root cell you can see this is the magnified view of the transverse section of the root. Then the next layer that is there is the cortex. This is the green color that you can see is the cortex. So when we compare the epidermis, that is the outermost layer, with the cortex, the concentration will be more in this yellow layer as compared to that is number of water molecules will be more in this yellow layer as compared to the green layer. So it will always be from a higher to a lower concentration. So water keeps on moving towards the inner side of the roots, that the water moves from the root hair cell to the cells of the cortex. Then the endodermis, the innermost part, that is containing the vascular bundle. So then the cortex, then the endodermis, and then the pericycle. I will show a better diagram of this. So you can see this from the cortex, from the root hair cell inside the cortex, and then to the endodermis. You can see this layer that is there. This is endodermis, followed by another layer which is known as the pericycle. Is that clear? And then finally, where does it reach? It reaches the xylem tissue through the process of osmosis. So this is the xylem tissue. You can see this is the xylem tissue. So water is transported upwards to the stem, leaves and branches through the stem. That's what you can see in the diagram, page number 1.7. And the upward movement of water and minerals in a plant through the xylem is called as the ascent of sap. This is called as the ascent of sap. So we all know that the root hair absorb water and minerals from the soil through diffusion, and the water molecule enter the root hair cells by osmosis. Is that clear? Root hair is absorbing both water and minerals, but the water molecules enter the root hair cell by osmosis. So because the concentration of water is higher in the soil as compared to the root hair cells. Then what about the minerals? It is unlike the concentration of minerals. Unlike water, the concentration of minerals is more in the root hair cells than in the soil, but they need to be absorbed because the plant needs them. So that is, they need to be absorbed from the lower concentration to the higher concentration. So this movement of water from this movement of particles, not water, from a region of lower concentration to a region of higher concentration will require energy, which will be in the form of ATP molecules, and this movement, this process is known as active transport because it involves energy. Hence active transport occurs against the concentration gradient, that is from a low to high, it is not from high to low. That clear? Is low to high. So this involves energy, and this is known as active transport. So you can see that water molecules are absorbed by the process of diffusion, and the active transport is involved in the transport of absorption of water molecule in the absorption of minerals from the soil. Next is the process of transpiration. So we know that plants absorb water through the roots, and it is a continuous process, and this is helping in the process of the transport of water, that is, and minerals by the ascent of sap. The water is very important for the plants, and the water goes to all the parts of the plant. The plant utilize and retain only a small amount of water, and that water is used for making food, and some of it is stored in plants, but rest of the water is transpired out, that is it is lost to the aerial parts of the plant. That is the loss of excess water from plants, mainly through leaves as water vapor, is called as transpiration. So this process, that is loss of water from the aerial parts of the plant, basically leaves, in the form of water vapor, is called as transpiration. And this transpiration, I told you, it helps in the ascent of sap, that is the upward conduction of water and minerals to all the parts of the plant. And due to this transpiration, the concentration of water in the cells of leaves decreases. As a result, what is happening? Water from the neighboring xylem vessel enters the leaf cells. So the loss of water from a leaf creates a suction force. Suction force, that means something which will pull things. As a result, water from the cells below that rises upwards. So that means, as a result of this loss, what is happening? That water from the cells below that rises upwards. This pulls the water upwards from the roots to great heights in tall trees. So water molecules are pulled up because of the tendency of adhesion, that is sticking with each other, that is water molecules stick with each other. This is known as adhesion. ADHESION. Is that clear? And this suction pull also, that does what? It is you can compare this to what? When you suck the cold drink from the glass or the bottle, that is also a type of by using a straw, that is an example of suction pull. Then another thing that is involved in this transport process is the root pressure. And just because there is a continuous inflow of water that is developed in the roots, there is continuous flow of water, that is continuous movement of water from the roots or to all the parts of the plant. So a pressure develops in the root. This pressure is called as root pressure. This is also helping in the upward conduction of water, that is the ascent of sap. So the process of transpiration and absorption of water by root hair are interdependent, that is, more water is lost, more transpiration will be the more transpiration is there, more water will be absorbed by root hair. So this water rises in the xylem by another force which is known as capillary force. Just because xylem tissues are very narrow in diameter and act like capillary tubes, very thin fine tubes are there. Is that clear? So you can say that capillary force acts upon them, on the xylem tubes or xylem tissues. So then when the loss of water is more than the process of absorption, then what happens? The process of wilting takes place. The stem, leaves and they droop down. This process is known as wilting. Is it clear? You can see this. So this is, it generally happens in the dry weather when the plants are directly exposed to the sun, and there are certain factors which affect the rate of transpiration. That is, it takes place faster during daytime. This is because stomata open during daytime to allow the entry of carbon dioxide, and the process of carbon dioxide is absorbed for the process of photosynthesis. Stomata are open, so the rate of transpiration will be more. Temperature, if it is hot, then the rate of transpiration also increases, and on a cold winter day the rate is less. Then humidity, that is when there is already moisture present, the amount of moisture that is present in the air is called its humidity. If there is a moisture that is present in the air, then the rate of humidity decreases. Is that clear? Then wind, if it is more windy, the evaporation will be quicker, that is, the rate of transpiration will be more. So with the increase in the wind, or rate of transpiration increases when the wind blows faster. Then what is the importance of this transpiration? That is, it helps to maintain the concentration of sap inside the plant body. That is, when leaves lose water through transpiration, more water is pulled upwards from roots to xylem to replace the lost water. If this transpiration wouldn't have taken place, then what would have happened? A time would have come when the rate of absorption would have been absolutely nil. It would have become zero. So it results in further absorption and transport of water and minerals from the soil. There is a continuous flow of water and minerals inside the plant. Then it gives a cooling impact or cooling effect to the plant and maintains the temperature of the plant and prevents it from dying. During the process of transpiration, water is evaporated from the plant, and this evaporation, this gives a cooling effect to the plant body. So the heat that is needed for evaporation is taken from the plant itself. Next is the translocation of food in plant, that is the transportation of food from the leaves, whatever food that has been prepared by the process of photosynthesis by the leaves, it needs to be transported to all the parts of the plant, and this is called as the process of translocation. And this takes place through which tissue? Through the phloem. So what happens in photosynthesis? That leaves synthesize glucose. What is prepared? Food is prepared in the form of glucose, and this glucose is converted into sucrose and transported to various parts of the plant. And this process of transport or transportation of food from leaves to other parts of the plant is called as translocation. Whatever excess amount of glucose that is converted into insoluble starch, and is stored in various parts of the plant. I hope you have completed the exercises and prepared the chapter well. Now revise the chapter so that you can give the revision test, and rates of unit test I have been announced, and interactive classes will also begin shortly. Allah Hafiz.